What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. The beginning of today is a little bit interesting. Let me open up the shop door and I'll show you guys why. Damn. She's shiny, boy. You good there? It looks so good. So Bobby's car is back in the shop today. This is Jared, the guy that bought it, and it already blew up, so we have to build a motor for it. No, I'm just kidding. We picked up some new taillights for it. I'll show you guys what he ended up going with. Damn, bro.
Oh yeah, those are gonna look way better.
Those are gonna look so much better. Let's do a little side-by-side comparison. So these are the tails, I think 13 on up. Evo 10's came with these. That is what they're gonna look like. So just a black housing instead of like the red housing, which I think is gonna look...
It's gonna look way better. Yeah, it's gonna contrast way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
Oh my god, that's way different.
Night and day difference.
Let's do, I'm gonna do one side and then we can compare it.
Yeah.
Let's do this one too, because that one's fucking ugly.
Way better.
I love these tails. But, I mean, those red ones, bro, those are better. You ready for this, bro?
Oh, I'm ready. Oh, dude. Wow. That is so much better.
So that's a stock one, obviously the 08 to 10 or whatever, and that's the newer style. Wait, hold up. I got one backwards. Wait, come look at this shit. I put your running light, essentially like that. I put your running light in your blinker.
Oh, that's bad. Is this guy gonna turn? Why is his blinker solid?
But we gotta get a cold start for the boys though. So ever since Jared bought this car, which was probably almost a week ago, he has been detailing it like nonstop. I think he spent 3 days detailing it, kind of learning the process of detailing, and it actually turned out really freaking amazing. I wanna show you guys this thing out in the sun. Damn. Yeah, that looks really good.
Looks good in the sun?
Dude, it looks so good in the sun. So much more poppy.
Oh.
Alright, so we're all finished up putting the new tails on Jared's car. Now we're out for a little cruise, and I'm gonna see if he wants to do a little side-by-side action so you can see what it's like comparing a fully built Evo 10 versus a 100% stock Evo 10, like power-wise, on the highway in Mexico. So let's throw on the GoPro and see what happens. Those are some very unofficial races. I was sitting there like waiting for you to honk, or like I was gonna honk.
Or am I just, I don't know.
No, you're fine.
I was like, fuck it, I need that start.
It feels slow though. I was planning on getting this motor reassembled today. All the parts showed up from MA Performance, and was really trying to get this thing back up on the road either today or tomorrow, but we did run into a slight little issue. So this morning I started tearing down the rest of the engine. All we had to do was pretty much pull out the crank, and I noticed, where are they at? The main bearings that came out are definitely not in the best condition. Being that this was pretty dang low miles, I don't know the exact amount of miles, but I know it's pretty low miles. I was planning on just throwing in new bearings and not getting the crank polished. But being that those bearings aren't in the best condition ever, I don't really want to chance it whatsoever. The crank still looks fine, but I think the smart thing and the right thing to do here would be to get the crank polished. So that's a little bit of a setback. And then I was gonna just do a really light hone on the cylinder walls. I picked up a ball hone for that, but I figured I'm just gonna bring in the crank, the block to a machine shop. They can polish out the crank, they can hone the block for me, they can resurface the head gasket area, and I just want this thing to be 100% perfect, ready to go. With all that being said, this thing isn't going to be back up on the road for probably a little bit now, but that's okay. I know it's going to run fine and actually last this time around. So let's get the block pulled off the engine stand. We got to get that rear main seal off. We can get the crank out and then hopefully head into the machine shop, get everything dropped off, and they said it'll be about 3 days before the crank and block are done. All right, guys, we just got the crank out. I hope this thing is able to be polished out. Take a look at these bearings, though. Definitely pretty hammered. I'm surprised I didn't see any crazy amounts of copper in the oil when we drained it. But that is obviously from when it was smoking so bad, it was burning a ton of oil. And then I would come back home, fill it up, drive it more. Just, you know, kind of being stupid with it. So paying the price now, but block should be fine. I hope the crank is fine. We're just going to have to do a little bit extra machine work, which I'm not doing. Thrust bearings seem fine. No crank walk going on here. Yeah, I think the block is fine. I really hope the crank is fine. I don't think they'd be that expensive to replace, being that it is a 4G64, not a 63. But obviously I don't want to replace it if I don't have to. So I'm gonna run through, get some parts cleaned up real quick, and then we can head in, drop off the block and crank. The head's already back. We got the head back. I think it's 100% good to go. I should have looked at this earlier, though. I should have looked at this when we first pulled it apart. Then we could have dropped all this off a few days ago, and we would have been back on the road really quickly. I hope that crank's usable. Those bearings are hammered. Not hammered, but they're pretty bad. You think a polish to clean that up?
Depends on what the size, what it makes out to be.
Okay.
I mean, you can polish that out, but will it still be in spec? That's going to be the key.
Yeah. We got the block and crank dropped off at the machine shop. They're going to go through it all, make sure it's all good to go for me. So I should be able to just come home, not worry about honing, not worry about anything to do with the crank. Just do some measuring, make sure all the bearing clearances are good, and reassemble. So that should be really nice and easy. We got everything for the bottom end cleaned up. The only thing we can really do from here is reassemble the head. Completely tore it apart, brought it to the machine shop, and we got it back. It's resurfaced. It's good to go. All the valves are good. So what we are going to do is completely disassemble the head. We got to get all of the old valve stem seals out, go through, clean it all, put the new stem seals in, put the valves back in, get it fully reassembled, and just ready to drop on to the short block. All right, guys, we got everything cleaned up and sitting out on the table. So we got the head, the springs, the keepers, spring seats. All of the valves are down there. And we have everything numbered, all the cam caps numbered, so we can pull them off and put them back on in order. So 1 through 12 down here, 1 through 6, 7 through 12. So the first thing we're going to do is pop open the GSC valve stem seals, throw them on the head, and then slide through the corresponding valve, put on the spring seat, spring, get it compressed, get the keepers on, and move on from there. This is going to take a while to get every single one of these done because there is 16 valves. Let's get to work, get this head fully assembled, and we should also be able to get the cams in and get those torqued down as well. We got all of the stem seals in. Now from here, pretty simple process. Just gonna grab a valve after we're done cleaning it, slide it through, get that spring seat on, get the spring on, get a retainer on, get the 2 keepers on, obviously with a valve spring compressor. Do that for all 16 cylinders. Okay, so we got 15 valves in. I went to do the last valve, and all we have left is 1 little keeper. Seeing how there's 2 keepers per valve, I'm gonna have to run in real quick, grab a new valve keeper from a head shop. I don't want to order one in. I just want to get this head 100% done right now. So let's go jump on the bike, run around, try to find a keeper, come back home, get that last valve installed, and then we can move on to the cams, rockers, and lifters. She's all complete with the valves. From here, we need to move on to the rocker arms, which those are all cleaned up, and the lifters as well. So we need to run through and bleed the lifters real quick. Let me show you how that's done. Super easy to do, guys. Do not overcomplicate it. We're gonna grab some Allen wrenches, and we're just gonna grab like the smallest Allen wrench we have. Actually, let's do one size up. So we're gonna run through, clean them up, obviously with some degreaser, some brake cleaner. But before we do that, we're gonna bleed them. So just take your Allen wrench or something like an Allen wrench that you can put down in that little hole right there. You're gonna put the bleeder upside down and you're gonna compress it. As you can see, oil is gonna start coming out. When you're done bleeding, you should be able to compress it completely. And if it feels like it's binding up at all, I would recommend replacing. But all these lifters are in really good shape, so I'm gonna run through, bleed them, clean them, and get them installed onto the head. We got all the lifters and rocker arms in there. Let's grab some assembly lube up the cam journals, get the cams installed, get the cam caps on. And I don't think we're going to be torquing the cam caps down until we actually get the head torqued down to the block. Well, there's not much else we can do until we get the short block back from the machine shop. That is going to be it for today's episode. Really hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow.